that would be by Mr. Saurabh Palsania. Giving a brief introduction for Mr. Saurabh, he has vast experience of more than 22 plus years in the manufacturing industry. He has received the Green Hero Award for working effectively for the use of pond ash, conditioned ash, waste generated.
So, good afternoon, friends. So, I'll take you from the highway to my way. And could not agree more with Kapish that before deciding upon any software, we have to see that where do we stand in terms of our own systems, our own logics in the systems, whether it is SAP platform or say ERP or Oracle, whatever it is. And we have been into this journey in 2017-18. We have a base of SAP and then few partners from PR to PO we implemented. And yes, we could not bring 100% of our spend onto this platform because of many challenges. Being a manufacturing company, we have got 1 lakh items to be procured and number of type of services which are more labor oriented, and still searching that how 100% spend can be brought into this platform. So this is all about our journey in Dalmia Cement towards digitization. But before this, after this, I'd like to stay more on the basics and speak about how effective a vendor management system should be in any organization, and how this can bring empower the company, empower the organization, empower the procurement leaders as well as the team. More important is that what are the enablers to ERP, to empowering organization and to have a good and effective vendor management system. And when we talk about the enablers, first it should be aligned with the organization goals and objective. And vendor management, I think a lot of digitization companies are bringing this tool through the name of supplier onboarding or many other names. But most important is whether those software base logics are aligned with the organization goals and objectives. And then how it is helping us to find the potential vendors. Then how this system really evaluates the vendors. And when we say evaluation of vendors, we have to check all the boxes, whether it is clicking all the boxes or not. And we'll talk about it in the next slide. And then how we are connecting with the business leaders and with the vendors, with our so-called partners. That will enable a good vendor management system. Now, going ahead, see, earlier on, I think 10, 15 years, 20 years back, it was difficult to connect to find out the new vendors who are into production or manufacturing. But now there are a number of channels which can help you to find a number of new vendors, MSME vendors, or say how they are diversifying the existing vendors, how they are adding capacities, and that vendor management system will definitely help you in this. I can give you a good example of it. In Dalmia, we started thinking of, committed to be carbon neutral, carbon free in 2019 by 2040. And why 2019? That I think it was the 𝗘𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 which started, and we were one of the partners with the government. At that time, we were not knowing about waste, what is waste, and how we will travel to this journey by 2040. And because of that Abhiyan and mission we were connected to, we started thinking of collecting waste from various industries. And knowing nothing about waste, nothing about those partners who will be our partners in this journey. And through, say, a message on a LinkedIn only, we started connecting with few of FMCG companies, few of pharma companies, chemical industries, automobile industries, and many other channels. And ultimately, as of now, we are having 350 partners and we are collecting 1 lakh ton of waste per month and co-processing in our kilns. And that is ultimately avoiding landfills and incinerations. So that is the way, means it's very easy now to connect with the partners. On a single click, you can connect on a virtual meeting also. And thus that software must be, such that it can connect you to any of these platforms. Now, when we talk about vendor evaluation, maybe that number of practices, number of industries might be doing, but there is a 11C model of vendor evaluation which necessitates you to tick all the C's before you finalize on onboarding a vendor. I'll not talk much about this, all these C's, but few of them are very important as of in today's scenario, that how far, like capacity and commitment, how far you are interacting with your customer, with your vendors, how far you are trying to know what are the controls existing in their system. Controls in terms of quality, in terms of inventory, how much inventory they are controlling, how they put controls on cost elements during the process of production, and what is the control basically on their order book, how they control their order books. Number of suppliers you might have come across who have built up their order books and then they were unable to supply, and they have put you at a dead end where you are not able to make available those things, but they have shown you the order books that it is fully full. So that is very important, but as far as I am concerned, I can say I was not evaluating so far to that extent. But it is important that you know their customer base also. How many customers are regularly, is it just like what is happening today in the world of employees, where one of my colleagues said that after every 2 years or 1 year there is a change. People are moving into the new organization. Is the customer base is also like that of that vendor, whether the customers are regularly moving out? And then what cost controls are there on the shop floor? Does they practice any system of cost controls? What cost awareness the technical team or the commercial team have in their organization? And culture and consistency, that definitely if it suits you, if the culture is similar to your organization, it is always good to have such vendors with you. It will enhance the ease of working with them. And when I talk about clean, I think it's more about legal and environmental compliances, and that is where many of us miss to evaluate them. And I can give you an example where we placed an order on one of the vendors without evaluating their legal compliance state, and after a week's time we could hear that all their accounts were seized because of non-compliances. And that is where when you have put an order of a machinery which is very much needed on site for erection of a new plant, that means that you have missed another 10 months to get that material because those accounts are seized. So that is very important. Secondly, environment compliances. You might be hearing that in many of the states, PCB or NGT are putting hold on the operations of many of the companies because of non-environmental compliances. That is also important. And lastly, that how effective their communication system is. Are they available all the time? Are they available virtually? Otherwise, so that is also very important, that what importance they give to the communication. So once this evaluation is being done and the vendor is onboarded or you have placed an order on him, what's more important is how much relationships you are keeping with your vendors and what are the areas of making it effective. So most important is communication, which it's my feeling that being a CPO of any organization or a commercial head of any organization, we are hardly, because we are on this side of the table, we are hardly trying to interact with the vendors. And that is most important, how your communication channels are. Are you calling them or you are visiting their business houses? Which gives a sense of feeling to both the vendor as well as the buyer, that what is the ask of their business, what we are expecting from them. And that's very important that this communication system should be established from the top of the management. And that interactions will help definitely to work on optimization of cost, getting the right material in right time, and also innovating. Next important is whether you are paying them promptly or not. And when you are placing an order, it's not only the placement of order, but to the last leaf, which is the vendor being paid in time or not? And that is where we are slightly struggling with, maybe many of you with the finance team, or maybe, you need a software which helps you, that is your vendor paid in time or not? And why it will help? It will help majorly in two areas. One is to make your cost, to make you cost effective in your procurements. And secondly, in the rush orders also, you can get a good support from the vendor. And then lastly, when you want to alter the payment terms, like many of you might have done during the COVID period, coming out of the advanced terms and all. So if your payments are prompt, then your vendors will definitely come out with their acceptances and giving you deliveries in time. Lastly, how you collaborate with them. And when we say collaboration, again, it is somewhere related to communication, but a step further ahead. How many times you are meeting them, how much you are sharing about yourself and knowing about your vendor. So know your customer and then helping them out, knowing their pain areas, telling about your own pain areas, and collaborating in innovation, reverse engineering, and many other areas where you can find out better solutions to your products and bring down your cost. Now there are a number of customers, maybe like we have got almost 3,500 customers who are effectively dealing with us. Now out of those 3,500 customers, maybe top 20 based on value or quantity. If you strategize those suppliers or vendors and start a strategic alliance with them, that will give you a lot of confidence that you will never lose any deal. And secondly, you will also learn from them that what needs to be built into your system, what are the fallbacks where you need to improve. You will get regular feedbacks from them, and they can create a platform where you can use their R&D and innovations also. Similarly, you can give a cream of the share of your business and be confident that yes, you have got 20 such alliances which will definitely work out with you at all times. And lastly, people, and which is, I think, I personally believe in people power and people training, and this is very important, as many of our speakers have shared that we are falling short of right talents in the organization. Unless you have a right talent in your organization or at a right place who interacts with the customers, vendors in the right way, your relationship will, never improve. So it's important to develop the soft skills and also the knowledge base of the people who you put as a accounts manager or a link between the people, between your organization and the vendor's organization. So regular training of those people definitely will help you to know more about your customer and know early, which will definitely improve the relationship with the vendors. Now coming to the negotiation part, I think the sentence that says that effective negotiation is 90% attitude and 10% technique. And this is where, we have learned many things from our seniors also, from, the way we used to negotiate in the past also. What this digitization is helping us is giving us something out of the data, which is lying in an unstructured way in our system. But how far we are utilizing it? So more important is to have a right data bank and analytics out of it, which gives us an insight that the deal that you're going to do has following past histories. Secondly, what is the current market trend? Whether the system that you want to procure for negotiation and vendor management gives you an insight of market or a right insight of market, which many of our friends have told that it can rightly predict for next 1 week and not for the next 6 months or next 3 months. But current market trends, definitely it can be shared on this platform. Then do you know, out of your selected vendors, how many of them are producing this product wholly in-house, or how much percentage they are buying out? I mean, maybe 50%, 30%, what is the bought out percentage? So if that is known, then your 50% homework is again done. Then what is the vendor depth? I'll give you, wonderful example of what is happening nowadays is that there is a fixed system whereby you are being given an offer of rates, and that person is also fixed, the system is also fixed, and they are generally, say, adding up or marking up 40% on the base rates. And time to time you are negotiating with them. Sometimes you negotiate 30% on the offered rate, sometimes on 20%. But ultimately they are consistently giving you plus 40% markup. And if that study is being done, you supplier wise, vendor wise, you know that the offer, he is generally negotiating up to 40% of the offered rates. Then that is a attitude of the vendor that you have to study. Lastly, if we talk about the techniques, clean sheet costing, I think everybody knows about it, auction basis. Then what is the alternate to the current agreement, that is 𝗪𝗏, that best alternate to the current agreement that you have? If you don't have the options with the buyers, then you may not be at the right place to negotiate, because you'll have to succumb to his demands. And lastly, I'll say that the 18th camel. So there was a father who died and writing his will with having 17 camels in his will to be divided in 3 sons in the ratio of 1/2, 1/3 and 1/9. The son, they were unable to distribute and they struggled a lot. Ultimately, they got a wise man who listened their story and then shared 1 camel, which was the 18th camel. The division happened, and the ultimate total of that division was again 17. And the wise men took away the 18th camel, which was, when we say 18th camel, the moral of the story is the technique of negotiation and problem solving is to find the 18th camel, and that is the common ground. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Sir, as you were talking around those 11C practices for the vendor evaluation, and as well as now connecting it to the negotiation practices, I wanted to have your insights around how do we deal with cartels? Because out of the 11 practices, cartel also plays a lot of it, and eventually it also drills down in negotiations.
Yeah. So, I experienced it during the COVID period, and I can say that one of the ways to counter it is auction platform. And now in today's scenario, I can say that we are almost 40% of our spend is going through auction only as of now. In that auction also, for first few auctions, you will find that there is a cartel. But then I'd like to name one of our partners, Vendex and Procurement. They have developed certain, I can remember one traffic light auction, where you cannot, the participating vendors cannot see anything. They cannot even track who is T1, who is L1, who is L2, or who is H1. And that was a breakthrough where we got success out of this cartel. So auction is one of the platforms where you can exercise it. And definitely when you throw a clean sheet costing also to them, that is, it is according to us, this is the price. Definitely that will also to some extent help you in breaking that cartel.